Those 3 words sliced through the cold night air, sharp as an axe. They hung there for a second, suspended, before the fire truck's engine roared to life. Its headlights burned through the thick smoke coiling over Sycamore Lane, illuminating the steel gate that stood between them and the burning house beyond. Then, with a bone-jarring crash, metal groaned and crumpled. Sparks scattered like fireworks, and the once imposing HOA security gate, Leonard Grant's prized addition to his neighborhood fiefdom, became a twisted heap skidding across his picture-perfect lawn. Somewhere behind it, Leonard stood in his bathrobe, jaw slack, horror painted across his face. But there was no time for that. A house was on fire. An elderly woman and her grandson were trapped inside, and every second mattered. 10 minutes earlier, the night had been still, almost painfully quiet. Suburban perfection. The faint hum of distant traffic, porch lights glowing like sentries in the dark. I was riding shotgun in my aunt's fire truck. Chief Sarah Jennings was the kind of person who ate stress for breakfast, but even she had seemed relaxed. She'd invited me on one of her routine patrols, said it might do me some good. College finals had turned my brain to soup. Fresh air, she insisted, would clear it. The smell hit first. Smoke. Acrid. Sharp. Real. Within seconds, the call came through. Fire on Sycamore Lane. Occupants trapped. The siren shrieked, and the truck banked hard, speeding toward the source. My pulse slammed against my ribs. As we turned onto Sycamore, we saw it. Smoke boiling from the second floor of a 2-story house. Orange tongues licking at the night sky. And right there at the entrance to the street, Leonard Grant's brand new, oversized, steel gate. It was locked. "Tell me you're kidding," one of the firefighters, Matt, muttered under his breath. No one was joking. The keypad blinked red. Every emergency override code we had was rejected. The dispatcher tried calling Leonard. Voicemail. A few residents stood helplessly on their porches, watching as smoke poured from the upper windows of their neighbor's home. Then, Leonard's voice crackled over the emergency line. Calm. Smug. Every syllable dripping with that signature arrogance. "I'm sorry, but HOA policy states that emergency personnel require prior authorization for gate access. Surely you understand. Rules are rules." For a moment, everything stilled. Even a fire seemed to hold its breath. Chief Jennings exhaled slowly through her nose. That exhale meant trouble. I'd seen her do it before giving a lecture to a rookie who royally screwed up. But there was no time for lectures. The flames had spread to the roof. "Ram the gate," she ordered. The truck surged forward like a bull out of the chute. Metal screamed, then snapped. The gate, Leonard's pride and joy, folded like cheap tin. The crash echoed through the night as the gates remained slid into his pristine hedgerows. For half a second, there was a flicker of grim satisfaction. Then reality snapped back into place. Flames belched from broken windows. You could hear coughing inside. The team moved fast. Hoses uncoiled. Water blasted into the house. Axes splintered the front door. Smoke filled every inch of the interior. Visibility dropped to 0. I wasn't supposed to follow them in. But my legs didn't listen. The boy, maybe 7 or 8, was curled under the kitchen table, coughing weakly. His grandmother lay nearby, motionless. Every instinct I had screamed to move faster. I dropped to my knees, reached for the boy. His tiny fingers clutched my arm, tighter than I thought possible. "I got you," I whispered. I wasn't sure he heard me. I wasn't sure I believed myself. 2 firefighters hauled his grandmother out the front, just as the ceiling groaned above us. I half-carried, half-dragged the boy, stumbling toward the door. Fresh air hit, like a punch to the chest. And then, the roof collapsed behind us. The boy buried his face in my jacket. "You're okay," I told him, though I wasn't sure I believed that either. Across the street, Leonard Grant stood in his robe, arms crossed, glaring like we'd backed the truck into his living room. His gate was gone. His perfect world was in ruins. "You'll pay for that," he spat. Chief Jennings took a step forward. The fire reflected in her eyes, making her look downright terrifying. "Oh, I wouldn't be so sure about that," she replied coolly. Leonard's mouth opened, but the screech of police tires cut him off. Officers spilled out, taking one look at the scene, flattened gate, scorched home, terrified kid, and immediately turned on Leonard. "Mr. Grant," one officer sighed. "Please tell me you didn't block emergency services." Leonard's scoff was almost cartoonish. It was a technical issue. A malfunction. A firefighter wiped soot from his face. "Malfunction, my ass." Chief Jennings didn't flinch. "That malfunction nearly killed 2 people. That's not a code violation. That's criminal negligence." Leonard paled but stood his ground. The fire department had no right to destroy HOA property. She gave him a look, the kind that made grown men consider their life choices. Then, with deliberate ease, she radioed into the city fire marshal. "Hey, Chief, we've got an HOA that blocked emergency services. Non-compliant with municipal code. Extensive fire damage. Victims involved. Going to need the city on this one." Leonard stiffened. "The city?" His voice cracked. "Oh yeah," Jennings smiled thinly. "And let's not forget the fines." For the first time all night, Leonard looked genuinely afraid. Behind him, the HOA board members murmured. A few who'd been staunch allies were edging away like rats sensing a sinking ship. And still, Leonard didn't get it. "You'll be hearing from my lawyer," he barked. Jennings chuckled. "So will you." The aftermath. By the next morning, the neighborhood buzzed with rumors. The charred remains of the house stood like a blackened skeleton. But the real fire was just getting started. At 9 a.m. sharp, Leonard convened an emergency HOA meeting. The clubhouse was packed. Residents, board members, and a few unfortunate spouses. Leonard sat at the head of the table, the picture of indignation. "We need to discuss the illegal destruction of HOA property," he began, hands steepled like some sort of preacher. "Specifically, the reckless actions of the fire department and the damages they owe." Silence. Then someone coughed. Leonard, an older man, Henry, began carefully. "2 people almost died." Leonard waved the comment away. "And we're relieved they're safe, but that doesn't excuse government overreach. If we let them break our rules, what's next? Garbage trucks cutting through our streets? Mail carriers ignoring drop zones?" A young man at the back shifted uneasily. "Pretty sure the rule is you don't let people burn alive." "Enough," Leonard snapped. He pulled out a document. "This is a formal demand for restitution. We will bill the fire department $75,000 for the gate." Dead silence. Then a snort. Then a laugh. And then I couldn't hold it in. I laughed so hard tears blurred my vision. Leonard glared. "Something funny, Tyler?" "Yeah," I grinned. "You." He bristled. "If you can't take HOA matters seriously, maybe you shouldn't be here." "Oh, I'm serious," I said. "Serious enough to make sure Chief Jennings forwarded your complaint to the city legal department." Leonard's eyes widened. "What?" And guess what? I leaned back. Blocking emergency responders isn't just a violation, it's a crime. Leonard stammered, but before he could argue, the clubhouse doors opened. In walked a woman in a sharp suit and an older man with a clipboard. City legal, and the state fire marshal. The marshal, a grizzled guy with a permanent scowl, zeroed in on Leonard. "Leonard Grant." "Yes," Leonard said, trying to straighten his tie. "Great. We need to talk." He slapped a document on the table. "You're looking at $500,000 in fines." Gasps rippled through the room. Leonard nearly choked. "You can't." "We can," the lawyer said. "You knowingly installed a gate in violation of emergency access codes. You ignored complaints. You blocked first responders. That's criminal negligence." Henry spoke up. "Wait, you're fining the whole HOA." "That's correct," the lawyer said. "Collective responsibility." The room exploded in fury. "You idiot. I told you this was a bad idea. My wife is going to kill me." Leonard held up his hands. "Everyone relax." The fire marshal shook his head. "Nope. Non negociable." A woman near the door stood up. "I move to remove Leonard Grant as HOA president." "I second," someone else said. Hands shot up. Even Leonard's closest allies joined. Majority ruled. "You're out," Henry said flatly. Leonard staggered back, pale. "You can't." "We can," the lawyer cut in again. And we will. The HOA's charter is under state review. It'll likely be dissolved. Leonard gaped like a fish. The fire marshal clapped him on the shoulder. Good luck, buddy. The collapse of Leonard Grant. By the next day, the story hit local news. Power-hungry HOA blocks firefighters, gets burned by city. Leonard stayed holed up in his house. No klibor petrols. No fines for unmowed lawns. Nothing. The rest of the neighborhood? They threw a block party. It was the first unsanctioned gathering in years. People set up lawn chairs and BBQs. They shared drinks and horror stories about Leonard's reign. The wreath couple toasted first. The mailbox guy gave a speech. But the real highlight? When a moving truck parked outside Leonard's house. Whispers spread. He's leaving. About time. He's getting sued. Leonard emerged, looking a decade older. He muttered into his phone, likely to his lawyer. Someone clapped. And like that, the entire block applauded. He froze, eyes wide. His neighbors, once fearful subjects, now celebrated his downfall. You people have no idea what you've done, he seethed. Oh, we do, someone called back. We got our neighborhood back. He stormed to his car, red-faced. And just as he slammed the door, the fire truck rolled past. Chief Jennings nodded at him. Safe travels, Leonard. He peeled out, tires screeching. And as soon as he was gone, the party kicked back into gear. A new beginning. I found Chief Jennings by the grill later. So I asked, they naming a street after you? She smirked. No, but they are renaming the entrance. What? Emergency Services Access Road. Poetic. And for the first time in forever, the neighborhood felt like a community again. No rules. No finis. Just people. As the sun set, we all realized something. This was how it was supposed to be all along. And if Leonard was out there, fuming somewhere, that was just a cherry on top.